Good morning, students. In today's video, I am going to tell you about Precis writing, because Precis writing is not only a topic in your syllabus only, but is important from the point of view of various competitive exams also. So you must know how to write a good Precis. Precis is actually a French word which means an abstract or summary, and Precis writing means summarizing or to present something in a precise form. It is the gist or main theme of a passage expressed in as few words as possible. And when you are asked to write a precis of a given paragraph or a passage, what you have to do is to extract its main points and to express them as clearly and as briefly as possible. So in this way, a precis is, we can say, a more logical, consistent and artistically finished work of art. Now, here another important thing is that you must not confuse with a paraphrase and a summary and a precis. So I'll just tell you the difference. Precis writing must not be confused with paraphrasing or summary writing. Okay, a paraphrase should reproduce the substance of a passage with all its details. It will therefore be at least as long as, and sometimes probably even longer than the original. Whereas summary is just a brief molding or a brief account of all the contents of the original, whether they are important or not. Now, what is the importance of precis writing? Why it is required and what are its uses? This is something which we should know about it. Precis is a very good and effective exercise in both reading and writing. As for reading, most people they read carelessly and are unable to retain the substance or the content of the paragraph. They only have a vague idea of what they have read. But an exercise in precis writing compels them, or it forces them to pay attention to what they read, because no one can write a summary of any passage unless he has clearly grasped its meaning. So it's an excellent training in concentration of attention. Similarly, it helps one in writing a good composition. It teaches us how to express one's thoughts clearly, concisely, and effectively. Practice in precis writing helps us a lot in our practical life. We can express our thoughts. In a precise and effective manner, because in today's fast running world, nobody has time to read lengthy details regarding anything. The art of reproducing what we have read or heard in a clear and concise manner is of the utmost value today. For lawyers, businessmen, and even government officials, it is something very essential, because they have to daily draft a lot of letters, complaints, comments, etc. So it helps us a lot in our daily life and it improves our reading and writing skill. Now, I would like to tell you about some essential features of a good precis. Okay, there are certain features which you should keep in mind that helps you in writing a good precis. Number one is clarity. As we know that the purpose of precis is to facilitate the reader with the gist of the original effectively and quickly, clarity is an essential feature. In other words, it means getting your message so that the reader can understand easily what the writer is trying to convey. Next important feature is conciseness. This means to be brief and direct. Brevity is the soul of wit, as is said by Polonius in Shakespeare's famous play Hamlet. So, brevity is the most essential characteristic which entitles it to be called a Precis. So, therefore, you have to avoid all unnecessary repetitions and illustrations, and you have to convey the information clearly and effectively in a direct way. Then, another essential element required for an effective Precis is coherence. This means that ideas should be well connected. There should be a logical interconnection in the sentences. They should be interrelated so that the reader can easily understand the main points. The next important thing is completeness. To make a faithful completeness of the original should be the foremost priority of the Precis writer. You should keep this thing in mind, that it should be a complete thing. When you read the paragraph, the summary of the paragraph, the Precis of the paragraph, it should give like the completeness should be there. And lastly, unity is also very important. A Precis should not be a mere accumulation of odd words or sentences. There should be proper link and unity of thought expression to achieve the quality of organic wholeness. So these are certain essential elements which you have to keep in mind. Now, the procedure or the method to write a good Precis, I am just going to tell you certain steps which you have to follow. Precis writing actually means intensive brain work. You have to concentrate thoroughly in this exercise. So I'll begin with the first step. The first step begins with the reading. You have to read the passage thoroughly and carefully to get a general idea of its meaning. Read it again and again until you understand it fully. The more you read it, the more familiar it will become to you. You'll get an idea about its subject, what is said about that subject, what does the author actually means. So, reading is very important and it should be done thoroughly and carefully, and if required, twice and even thrice. The next step is outline. What you have to do is try to make an outline, mental outline, for the Precis. While reading the original passage, think of some words or phrases of your own that will sum up the main subject or idea of the passage. Even try to find the key words or key sentences in that passage. Next step is understanding the paragraph. Further reading is now necessary to ensure that you understand the details of the passage as well as its main theme. Read it now sentence by sentence, word by word. Try to grasp the meaning, the gist, the theme, what the paragraph is about. So, detailed study of each and every word is a must. It's very essential, as sometimes even a single word may be of prime importance, and the misunderstanding of it may cause you to miss the whole point of that passage. Next step is of underlining. Now next, what you have to do is to mark the important ideas and essential points from the original text. This process of selection is not very easy. Just keep this thing in mind. What is important and what is not important, you have to be very careful, and some practice is required for this. Next, what you can do is that most of the time, generally you are asked to provide a suitable title to your Precis. So, this is a good stage at which to do this thing. While making the title, think of some word or phrase or short sentence that will sum up briefly the main subject of the passage. Many times this is supplied by what we may call a key sentence or a key word, and this key sentence may be found either at the beginning or at the end of the passage. So read it very carefully, and when you underline the important points or words, and when you understand the whole thing, it will become easier for you to provide a suitable title to the Precis. After this preparation, you should now be ready to attempt the writing of the Precis. Okay, till now you were reading and understanding it, you were underlining important points, and now you have to start preparing your draft. Now this process, I will further. For today, I would like to stop here only, and in the next class, I will give you some important hints for writing a Precis, following which, along with some practice, so that you will be able to write a Precis successfully. And for today, thanks a lot.